Good morning, everybody. This is Andy Camp, and this is our third episode of Real Estate Unlocked. We have a fun kind of hybrid. We're just testing a lot of things out to see what works best as we continue our podcast series. And today is going to be a hybrid with my guest today, Rosalind Miller from the Rosalind Miller Group, and huge business building supporter every Monday for our business building calls. And then we also have an interview that I was able to do last week with Clara Capano, our ninja instructor, talking about being a ninja in the age of AI. So exciting to have Rose here today with me. We had an awesome off-air conversation just about mindset and really looking at how we go and take the next step in our lives and our careers. And I'm excited to talk about her being a ninja and how we can be a ninja in the age of AI. So thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's painless so far, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So we're going to jump right in. We have about a 20-minute interview with Clara Capano, and Clara's going to talk about just the AI research that we discussed last month from 1000 Watt and how consumers are using AI and what are some of the ways that we can be ninjas and really focus on those human skills that AI can't replace, understanding that our clients are using AI in the transaction as we speak. So without further ado, let's roll the interview. Good morning, everybody. I am excited to have Clara Capano, our ninja instructor extraordinaire, with me this morning. Hi, Clara. How are you?
I am doing fantastic, Andy. Thanks so much for having me.
So where are you joining us from this morning?
Today I am in Orange Beach, Alabama.
I'm sure doing some sort of ninja focused training and spreading all of your knowledge across the country, right?
You know it, just delivering impact one state at a time.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And, I'm excited about having our conversation today because last month in February, we took 1000 Watts amazing consumer research and their deep dive into how consumers are interacting with AI. So of course, I'm thinking, okay, how do we embrace ninja in the age of AI when our consumers are already, already using these large language models? So I'm really excited about our conversation today, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
My pleasure. Let's do this.
So, one of the most impactful things, there was two big things that were takeaways from 1000 Watts research. Number one was the concept that our clients now have two agents. They have their AI agent, and then they have their realtor. Just from that statement, just taking our first step into this conversation, what is your first impression when you hear consumers are thinking that they're working with two agents in the real estate transaction now?
This is a great question. And it brings us back to something that we do talk about in Ninja, where when you are working with someone, you're not their agent. You're actually their proactive, trusted advisor. So they might have AI there helping them, but we are still their proactive, trusted advisor. And what people have to understand is AI is a tool. It can go and gather information from so many different sources. And the clients, the public, what they have is they have access to data. What they don't have is the access to the interpretation of the data. So the AI will be giving them information. What we do as their trusted advisor is we help to interpret it so it makes sense to them so that they are getting the real estate information.
So we talk about skilled negotiator, trusted advisor, expert facilitator as kind of those three core competencies. And, I love the trusted advisor part of it because that has that mindset that it's not just transactional. It is really a trusted advisor for life. When you're talking about being a trusted advisor and a ninja, what are some of those skills that really exemplifies being a trusted advisor?
Sure. Definitely connection. We still need human connection. Human beings are social animals.
Sure do.
We need that human connection. The other thing to understand is, real estate, it is very complex. Every state has a different contract. It could be anywhere from 8 to 22 pages long. It is very complex. A computer can't simplify it and can't bring it down to its basics. Also, it's high risk. These are people's, properties. It's their personal investments. It's their money. So it's very high risk. Without the human connection, they might make some missteps. So it's about helping them get the right decision and the right interpretation so they can make the best decisions. Also, it is very infrequent. The average person is moving, about every 8 to 10 years. So it's vastly different from the way that they did it before. And as wonderful as AI can be, it can't help you in those areas. So it's very important, even though they can get the data, it's very important they have a human being guiding them through, because there's just too many ways to make a mistake, and we want to really be able to be there to protect them.
So one of the things that was eye-opening from this consumer research is the respondents said that 45% of consumers use AI to ask questions that they're embarrassed to ask or reluctant to ask their agent. For me, that's actually shocking. Not because they don't trust us, but that they, in most cases, don't want to feel uninformed or appear uninformed. What are some ways to set the stage to prepare your client and to make that human connection, while minimizing that reluctance to rely on your agent?
Right. Well, it all goes back to, are we being relational or are we being transactional, which is something that you brought up a few minutes ago. What we need to do better is we need to find ways to really build the relationships and deliver value, not just during the transaction, but between the transaction. You see too many realtors, they show up, they get their check, and they disappear.
Yeah.
What we coach people through in Ninja is to not do that. And we use the term being in flow. The idea is when you are staying in flow, you are building trust. And trust is at the heartbeat. And when you can really build that trust, they're not going to be as embarrassed to ask these questions, because you're going to invite them. Whatever it is you need to know, come and see me, come and ask me. And the reason they're embarrassed or hesitant is because they haven't built enough trust with you as their trusted advisor. So it all starts from the very beginning as the relationship person that's bringing the glue together. The other thing I would encourage them to do is to be more visible to them. And I don't mean physically, it could just be through email, through social media, but the more that you are there delivering quality content and opening the door for more engagement and conversation, they're going to be more inclined to come to you. You've got to position yourself as the source, as the resource. I always tell my people, you essentially need to be Google for your people, so that when they need something, real estate or other, you're the person that they're coming to.
Well, I love that because it's the other part that really, reinforces that trust. There's a lot of resources out there. Obviously, AI can go and regurgitate whatever prompt it's given as it relates to, really anything in life. But when it comes to real estate, it can go and do facts. And, obviously there's a lot of pricing models, and we'll get to that in a couple minutes. But it's the other stuff that I think adds the value in that relationship where it isn't transactional. But my
Exactly.
question, I guess, to you is, okay, so if we're going to be in flow and we don't want to, we want to build that trust, we want to build that relationship so that our clients are clients for life and constantly asking us questions. What happens if you haven't been in flow for a while, or maybe you lost track of and got out of flow? How do you start building that trust again?
It's a fantastic question because this happens all the time.
All the
And
time.
what we find is that almost 75% of the people say that they've never heard from their realtor again after closing, which is a bit terrifying.
Yes.
So, you just have to be honest and you have to be human. This happened to me. I went through a divorce and, I lost contact with people. I just had to be honest. I just picked up the phone and I just said to people, you know what? We haven't talked in a while. And that's something that I feel badly about. I've made a commitment to get back in touch with people, and I've been thinking of you. And those were some of the most amazing conversations because they were real, they were honest. And the reality is, the phone works both ways. They weren't reaching out to me either. So don't overcomplicate it. We're just working to get back in touch, people. Also, remember that everybody's very favorite topic in the entire world is themselves. So
Yes.
if you are calling to find out information and let them talk about their very favorite topic in the world, they will. What we don't want to do is pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Andy, it's Clara. I know I haven't talked with you in 3 years. So are you ready to move yet?" It's not a time to talk real estate. It's a
No.
time to build relationships. And what we need to understand is our job is not even real estate. Our job is relationships. Our job is being a resource and serving others. And when we show up every day and do our real job, real estate is the byproduct of it.
Well, and one of the things that I love that, Clara, and I think you're absolutely spot on. And just to piggyback off that a little bit, one of the things that I've talked about too with AI and reputation management, that there is this repositioning of yourself as a local expert, and how are you demonstrating your local expertise and those kinds of things. But what I've been saying over the past couple months in 2026 is the time that you're not connected with your sphere of influence and your clients, every moment, every day that you do not reconnect or stay in flow with people, you just open that door just a little bit more for someone else to come in and have influence over your clients. And with AI and with so many different resources out there, real estate search has become entertainment. We know that because of looking at all the web traffic with Zillow. So it's more important than ever, whether you've been in flow and being good ninja practices all the time, or maybe you've lost sight of it, maybe a life event. Every day you don't stay in flow with them or reconnect, you just open that door a little bit more to be disrupted from those relationships.
Absolutely. I want to just share two things that people need to think about to
Absolutely.
tag on to what you're talking about. Is one thing is the average time frame from when someone wakes up in the morning and says, "I may want to move," to when they actually call their realtor could actually be anywhere from 8 to 21 months. This goes back to what you're saying. I don't know where they might be in the system. And if I fall out of flow with them, when they make that decision, they choose the realtor who's going to represent them in 1 to 3 days.
Hmm.
So you could lose your positioning. The other thing that we need to understand is everybody in our sphere also has a sphere of influence. And when we show up and serve our people, that trust is transferred to the people they know. So if I fall out of flow with my people, I'm also going to fall out of flow with the people they know. So it's really critical that we find ways to stay connected and build those relationships, because there is always a market and business is happening daily, and we need to make sure that we are showing up.
Yeah, so it goes back to, you're an overnight success. Yeah, it just took 21 months for me to be an overnight success. It's the same kind of thing. Those statistics are mind blowing. 8 to 21 months to make a buying or selling decision. But once they make the decision, they choose who they're going to work with in 1 to 3 days.
Yep.
So you can't, no one's smart enough to pick and choose when that moment's going to happen. So you have to constantly be investing and reinvesting into those relationships, as opposed to thinking of yourself as a transactional salesperson. I love
Correct.
that.
Correct.
One of the things that was interesting too, that was loud and clear in 1000 Watts research, is that consumers are very uncomfortable with the idea that AI would negotiate on their behalf or do paperwork on their behalf. Talk a little bit about the skill set around and how to communicate your expertise in the skill set that's necessary to be that trusted advisor.
Well, it again comes back to relationships, and especially in real estate, there are a lot of realtors out there. At the same time, it's a very small community. And certainly I can go to AI and say, "Give me some tips and tricks." But the reality is, when you get voice to face, communication goes much deeper. You see, we are missing steps because we're missing the tonality when we don't have these conversations. We're missing the body language and that human touch. And when you work with a trusted advisor, your trusted advisor has these relationships with the other realtors in the area. And I know for a fact, after doing this for over 32 years, deals are put together with relationships.
Oh yeah.
And I know that other realtor and I can pick up the phone and have a conversation. It's that quality communication because it's not always about price. Sometimes there's other nuances. It could be the dates, it could be the inclusions and the exclusions. We have to be able to have that. And, there's been several studies, they refer to it as the faceless other. We have to ensure we are here to protect our clients and to protect our clients' interests. I would never leave that up to just an email or a text message that was written by somebody that doesn't have a human heart.
It's perfectly said. It's perfectly said. So this is an interesting piece of feedback and research. The importance of your pricing strategies, but more importantly, the concept of showing your work. And I laughed when we talked about this last month because, great realtors tend to not be numbers people. We have a lot of really good salespeople that tend to shy away from the numbers, but the research shows the opposite, that the consumers want us to show our work. They want us to show that process to reinforce our expertise. Talk a little bit about Ninja's approach to pricing and how we can win, based off of that consumer feedback.
Well, the important thing that people need to remember, and we mentioned this earlier, is that when you go to AI, depending on where you go, they're pulling in information. You had brought this up before. AI is only designed based upon the level of the prompts it is given. So oftentimes the questions that are being asked are not the real questions that people have. So you're basically going in there and hoping that it understands what it is you are really asking. And it's pulling information from several different sites, which are not always accurate. They may be nationwide. And again, where are those sites pulling their information from? When you work with your trusted advisor, they are getting information straight from the site, which is generally the multiple listing service. It is the real data, up to date, down to the minute of what is truly happening. So one, it is trusted information. It is accurate, up to date information, and it is information that only realtors have access to. So the idea is you are getting the right real estate information. With Ninja, we have the concept of showing is better than telling. When you work with visual pricing tools, not only are you telling them, but you're physically showing them. You're taking the information with charts and graphs that are easy to digest. You see, one of the number one ways to confuse people is by sitting down and just getting a bunch of MLS sheets or showing them just a big chart. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Having something that is easily digestible, you still have the MLS sheets and the MLS to go to talk about the specific data, but being able to lay it in front of them. And when they know that it is the real up-to-date information, it's not about you, it's not about them, it's about the numbers. And we're showing them the accurate data in their market that they need to have. So it's all about accuracy, intentionality, and also the ability to truly interpret the right data.
So then that last piece, then that interpreting the data really comes down to an educational component where we're bringing them into the decision-making process by showing them all the information they need to make a good informed decision.
And not just showing them the information, but then talking with them about the choices and consequences. At the end of the day, the seller gets to make the decision. The buyer gets to decide what they want to offer. What we want to do is lay it out and saying, you could go this route and this is what could happen. You could go this route, this is what could happen, so that they have everything they need to make the best decisions for themselves.
So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit and talk about reputation management in an AI world. One of the concepts that came out of the research that we discussed last month was the idea that just being good is not good enough anymore. So how can ninjas articulate their value in an AI-informed world for consumers?
It goes back to, again, the interpretation. It goes back to the relationships that we have and also being the source. I think we need to start understanding that our value is not just real estate. Our value is in community. So we want to really position ourselves that, yes, when they have questions about real estate, come to us. But if they want to know a new restaurant, if they need a contractor, we remember are the source. We have to be Google for them. So I think it really goes back to helping to define what our role is as their trusted advisor. And it's not just real estate, it is their connection to everything. And when we position ourselves as a valuable resource in business and in other ways, then they start to see us and think of us differently. We become a part of them. We really subscribe to the concept of value. And one of them comes from a gentleman named Bob Berg, who wrote a great book called The Go-Giver,
Oh
that
yeah.
your true worth is determined by how much you give in value than you take in payment. So the idea is, how are we delivering value in business as well as in relational and personal ways?
So what are some practical ways for somebody maybe that isn't in that mindset right now?
Mhm.
Or I mean, there's a lot of noise. Let's face it. There's a lot of noise in the marketplace right now. There's a lot of noise around AI. Are they going to replace agents? Obviously, what we've talked about today, it's the soft skills, that last 10% and human connection, that really is going to define the winners and the losers in an AI empowered world. But like, what are some suggestions and practical things that you've seen that you can start adding value almost immediately and enhance those relationships that you already have in place?
So, one is going back to something that we touched on, and it's having real conversations. Outside of food, clothing, and shelter, human connection is the next basic human need. So, never underestimate the power of a phone call where we can actually talk with them about their very favorite topic in the world. So, that's an easy one, which then leads calling them on their birthday rather than just giving them the thumbs up like 180 of their other best friends. Recognizing what's happening in their world. So, paying attention, knowing your people. If your people are sports people, send them or connect with them and talk sports. If your people love books, share books, start a book club. The idea is you need to know your people. She was one of my ninjas, and she's become one of my friends, and she said it beautifully. She said, before you sell to your people or your community, you have to serve them. So think about, how can we serve them? What is it that your people need? If they are stretched for time, you can send them information on time management tips. It has nothing to do with real estate. It's going to help their quality of life. And when you can help them on the human side, remember, it builds trust, and then they think of you as their trusted advisor.
Well, and it's funny you're saying the best way to create human connection is to pick up the phone, and we always talk about call avoidance techniques, and most even the best ninjas tend to have like fears, in their heart when you say, oh, you're going to make phone calls. But I love the repositioning that you just talked about, Claire. Is okay, just go to your database and figure out ways to serve. Just
Mhm.
serve your people. That mindset and the empowerment that you get from taking action in service strips almost all of the anxiety away if you just allow yourself to embrace that concept of serving others and serving your people. The other thing I loved hearing you say is figuring out how to create communities within your sphere of influence, within your client list, because it's going to be multiple ways that you can serve them and you can connect them and you can create almost micro communities within your database
Yeah.
that are going to bring connections together, but are going to create more opportunities, candidly, not only for you, but for other people within your network.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you a real simple thing that I do, because I pay attention to birthdays and talking about small communities. Not only do I reach out to the person on their birthday, I also reach out to our joint friends and say, hey, don't forget, it's Andy's birthday today. Give him a call. So I have an opportunity then to connect with 5, 6, 8 other people at the same time. And, this whole call avoidance, call reluctance, it's real, and it is a mindset shift. Nobody wants a sales call. Everybody is happy to talk about their very favorite topic in the entire world.
Yes.
Take real estate off the table. If it's a current client, yes, you're going to be talking real estate. But if it's just people, talk with them. I promise you, real estate will come up and it will be directed by them.
Well, and we talked about it right at the beginning too. Take the elephant off the table. if you haven't talked to them in a while, acknowledge that you haven't talked to them in a while. I mean, that's the one thing that I have discovered, particularly over the last year, is regardless of what's going on in the world, the majority of people give you grace. If you have a connection with people, if you have a personal relationship, if you did a great job with them in a previous real estate transaction, but it was 8 or 9 years ago, the majority of people still are genuinely glad to hear from you. So, whatever you have to do, that mindset is really holding back so many people from making that connection. And it's more important than ever to have that connection, because technology, AI, that can't make the connection. That's the opportunity, I think, to really kind of flex our humanness, our unique special sauce, to really really create that community, that human connection that
And
technology will never be able to do.
Yeah, and one of the other things I do, I work with a lot of leadership, and AI again can give great ideas. It's a tool and it's one to use, but AI can't create culture. And even as realtors, we're still CEOs. We still have a company and we want to build a culture with our people. AI can't build relationships. It can give you ideas, but at the end of the day, it's got to be heart to heart. It's got to be connection to connection.
So we have all sorts of great concepts, great ideas. What I'm hearing from you is, just double down on Ninja. Just go into focusing on articulating your value as a trusted advisor, be direct in making those human connections, and really focus on, how do you serve and create community within your network. Any final words as we conclude our conversation today, Clara?
Yeah, don't be afraid of AI. It's there. It's here. Educate yourself on it. Again, educate yourself, learn how to use it. It actually can be a fantastic tool. It
Yes.
can help us with our time management. It can help us with ideas. So learn it. Don't push it to the side, but also let go of the fear. At the end of the day, there is always a real estate market. And what we know is that when people, they might do a lot of research on their own, but when they're ready to go, they want help. So this is why it is so important to stay connected with them between the transactions, because when it's go time, they're not going to turn to a computer, they're going to turn to a human being. And we need to make sure that you are solidifying your position as that person they turn to.
And remember to be in flow, because they may have been thinking for the last 11 months about listing their home, and they may be about to choose a realtor to help them do it. So
Exactly.
get in flow today.
You know it.
Thank you, Clara. I really appreciate your time. Looking forward to seeing you in person soon, and all the best, and enjoy the warm weather in California.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
That was a really fun interview. Clara and I managed to squeeze a lot of different subject matter and topics relating to AI, but more importantly, relating to our humanness, those soft skills, the things that differentiate us, and really embody the principles of Ninja. So really appreciate Clara taking the time. What did you think of the interview? What were some of the things that stood out to you?
Well, I've attended actually 2 Ninjas. The first one was with Peter. The second one was with Clara.
Okay.
I love her energy.
Yeah, me too.
She's fantastic. And some of the things that I always think about when I think of Ninja, I think I was doing Ninja before Ninja was cool.
Yeah. We have a couple, you and Don Johnson, I think, were our 2 original Ninjas before Ninja.
And I remember a friend of mine in the business talking to me about going to Ninja, and I was like, what? And so he started to explain it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense to me. So I was really excited to go. But I've taken probably at least 7 or 8 practical things away from the 2 Ninja installations. I think in a world of AI, it's still going to be all about human connection in our industry. There are some things that can be automated, but you can't automate human interaction.
So what are some of the things, Clara talked a lot about being a trusted advisor. What does a trusted advisor mean to you, and how do you incorporate that concept into your business?
Well, for me, I think I ask myself, how do I become the person that I would call?
I love that.
And what does that mean for me first as a human and as an individual? And am I that person? So what are the things I can do, to become that person first? And I remember, I think it was in Clara's installation where she ran this scenario and she said, think about how you are when you have one of those days where you are just functioning at 100%. We've all had them.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
They feel good.
They feel great, right? And so you show up to the appointment, you knock it out of the park. They already signed before you left the house. And you're like, wow, that was awesome, So looking at what were my green lights that led to being, 99.9%? Because let's face it, we're not 100 ever, but becoming that person that consistently can show up 9% capacity. Because what Clara said in that installation is, she said, no one's paying you for 70%. And I thought, oh, wow. That really just hit me right between the eyes. So first of all, what do you like at that 100%?
Mm-hmm.
What are your personality attributes? What are the things that you display when you are at that 100%?
So what are some of yours?
Well, my notes said that I was energetic.
Okay.
And that I was personable, and that I was genuine and organic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's my communication style when I'm not tired, So what do I need to do to show up at that 100% level? And all of this, I know, may seem like a little bit of a sidetrack, but it's not, because it's about building trust.
Yes.
And if we can show up consistently at that 99.9%, that will build trust with our people.
Well, and trust is so important too. The need for trust, and they talked about, clients, using AI to ask questions that they're embarrassed to or reluctant to ask their ninja. I think one of the questions in the chat was, what are the most embarrassing questions that clients asked AI? Don't know the answer to that, so I'll ask 1000 Watt if they can get us a little bit more information.
That'd be fun to know.
But I think it comes back to trust. It's, it's not that they're necessarily embarrassed, but they don't want to appear uninformed. Mm-hmm. Trust is so important. What are some of the ways that you continue to build and reinforce trust, even when you're not in a real estate transaction with your clients in your sphere of influence?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just sort of that ongoing relationship. Yeah, I think over the years, what I've noticed, real estate is a profession. It should be professional, but in my opinion, it first needs to be personal. And that's probably partly my personality, but that's just organically how I function. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's worked well. And to be both personable and professional, if I can hit that blend, that's what I go for. But how to cultivate that trust, I think if you can be personal with them, take an interest in what they're doing. And we have at our disposal, Instagram and Facebook that will inform us what our clients are doing if we pay attention. Mm-hmm. And I've taken to, instead of commenting or being a part of that broader conversation with 110 people where you get lost, is I will bring those specifics up in an actual conversation with my people. And just taking an interest in the fact that, they just did a 210 deadlift in their garage, or that, they just got a new puppy or whatever that is. Mm-hmm. So just the personal touches, I think, are super important. And that's one way that I've approached it.
So the personal touches and taking interest in their lives, we talk about Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams, and being in flow. So while you're building that personal connection and adding value, it doesn't all have to be real estate related.
No.
So
It's well-rounded. I would
well-rounded.
say,
Yeah. So
integrated.
So give me some other examples in terms of how you balance that out, and how you know, when you talk about personal and you talk about your approach in organic, it sounds to me like you're focused on that whole idea of being your authentic self with your clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Is that ever been, I don't know, nerve-wracking or scary for you to be authentic and transparent with your clients?
Yeah.
But it still doesn't hold you back.
Well, it doesn't necessarily come naturally to me.
Okay.
But I've learned to grow into it over the years. Because at the very least, I want to be personal. Like what's the alternative?
Right.
I mean,
transactional. I mean, really the alternative,
Yeah.
you know, what we talk about is, you know, if you have a growth mindset and you're in flow with your clients, you're not looking for a transactional relationship based off of a commission check. You're looking
Exactly.
for a relationship, you know, and you're going to be more of a my client for life type of mentality in
Yes.
building that.
Yes. We, my business plan is probably would shock people. Like I don't have numbers. I don't have money on my business plan. It's more a focus on how many connections can I make, and how many connections can I make, and also how can I connect other people to each other. So there's a lot of, you know, entertaining that we do. We do dinner parties, weekends at the lake, you know, just whatever we can do to pull people together. But that's, you know, I mean, that plays into building connections for business, but it's also just, I think, healthy to have community.
So because you're not focused on real estate and you know, that transactional salesperson mindset just is not part of your DNA or your personality or your approach, does it make it easier to make those phone calls? Because we talked a little bit, you know, Clara and I did that call avoidance techniques that we all know we should be making phone calls and having personal connections.
Right.
Everybody on this podcast agrees that that's something that we do, but we also psych ourselves out that, oh, I haven't talked to this person in 8 years, or I haven't talked to this person, doesn't want to really hear from me. What if they are mad? Does that ever enter into, you know, your mindset when you're making those personal calls and connecting with your people?
Sure. That, you know, that's just, I think, natural, that everybody would fight that. But again, if you can refocus and retrain your brain, you know, this is about, let's find out what's going on in their life. So it's not just a, you know, ring. I think Clara said it on the interview. I haven't talked to you in 3 years. Do you want to buy a house? You know, you get to know your people and what phase they're in life. And that really helps, you know, to be able to serve them at the right time. But you're always there. You know, you're just sort of, you become a fixture, and they know who you are.
I think that that's so important. You know, the stat that Clara referenced, it takes consumers 9 to 21 months to make a buying or selling decision, but they'll choose an agent in 1 to 3 days.
Right.
You know, it just emphasizes the importance of us to be connected with our clients and be in flow, not knowing at any point when somebody may be ready to make that decision, or more importantly, from a referral-based business, somebody that one of your past clients may know that's ready to make that decision. You know, and if we're not committed to building community and staying connected, we're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities to serve clients.
Right. And it is, it truly is both. It's being integrated with being personal and professional. And you have to be willing to be transparent on a professional level too, and bring them the truth. Not sugarcoating what the market's doing and not building up expectations. And that's been so true, especially over the last 18 months, you know, as we've experienced just, I would call it an air pocket. And that will take people's breath away. And just like it does driving on a road, when you hit that air pocket and you're like, hey, where's the road? But we can be, like you always say, calm. We can be the calm in that and just bring the truth and bring the data. One thing I took away from the first Ninja installation was I started doing buyer interviews.
Okay.
And I started doing seller interviews. Instead of a listing presentation, I do a seller interview.
So tell me the difference in your mind. What does that look like, and why is that such an
Yes.
important distinction?
Yes. The distinction for me is, well, in being a ninja, I want to learn everything I can about my sellers' motivations,
Mm-hmm.
what their best time frame is. Are they really in this, or are they just kicking tires? And I will tell you, I made my own listing interview with the very questions that are in that workbook, and it works. It absolutely works. And it's
TSW.
amazing. It's amazing.
So tell me, like, do you have an example of when that switch flipped for you when you started doing seller interviews, and what were some of the takeaways or differences compared to an old listing presentation and interacting with sellers?
Well, I think in an old listing presentation, you're always sell. It's all about how great I am, how my accomplishments are so awesome, and how great my, broker is. No offense, I mean you are, but
None taken.
it's more, this approach with Ninja is way more about information gathering, and the more we know about our clients, we are demonstrating to them, first of all, that we have an interest in finding out about them. So in that interview, it's like 9 pages. By the end of it, I've pretty much asked every question that they didn't even think they needed to tell me. But then you still ask, is there anything else I should know? But the difference really is that it becomes about putting together a plan that is very specific for them. And it's not about, I need you to sign today because, I'm the greatest and the best and look at everything I've done. It's about, I've found out in a friendly manner how to serve you better. And now that I have this information, we can look at the whole 9 yards and say, let's do it this way. And it has worked wonders.
Well, so the two things that I hear you talking about that I think are so powerful is, number one, you have a consistent process
Yes.
for buyers and sellers. So you're not wasting any time or energy recreating the wheel. You understand exactly what your process is
Yes.
going to be. So really the nuance is just going to be your interaction with your client's personality.
Correct. Yes.
And the other part of it is, what we talked off camera this morning about, it's all of the soft skills that I think really allow us to shine, and is going to be the difference between realtors that are successful and realtors that are really going to struggle in this age of AI. And that's those soft skills,
Yes.
empathy, creativity, being a skilled negotiator and understanding deeply what your client's needs are and being able to advocate for them. But just what you described, I think, is so powerful, Rosalind, because you have the ability to sit across your client's table and ask questions and watch the body language. And those are all the things that are going to be important to be that consultative, resource for them, as opposed to just being able to type in questions into ChatGPT, for instance,
Right.
and feel confident that whomever you're going to work with knows deeply what your goals are and how to get there.
Yes, that's exactly it. And by the end of the interview, whether it's the buyer or the seller, they know the process. And so a part of being transparent on a professional level is, here's how I work. I'm in charge of the process, but you're in charge of the decisions. And this is my process, and here's how I would like to move forward with this. And does that feel right to you? Or depending on the personality, you don't ask feel questions, you ask more hard data questions.
Sure.
But you approach it from a manner of, you educate them on the market, you give them the hard data, and then you educate them on the process. And when they have all of that information, yes, it takes a while to do that. It sometimes is a 2 to 2.5 hour process, but by the end of it, you have eliminated so much other work that would come in the future if they don't know this already.
So by educating and having a consistent process, educating your client you're really empowering them.
Yes.
But you're also removing all sorts of friction within the real estate transaction where,
That's correct.
now it's that trust is built, you have that rapport.
Right.
They see you as that trusted advisor, and you can move forward together and
That's right.
hopefully get to a positive conclusion.
That's right. And an example of that specifically is in the buyer interview, which I harvested out of the Ninja installations as well. In that buyer interview, we talk about so many different things and about why do they want to own real estate? Do they ever want to be a landlord? How long will they live in the first house? And we just discuss some of the ways that we have had, successful accepted contracts. This was especially helpful during the time when every single house was going with like 15 offers. So ahead of time, I would prepare them. These are the clauses we may use. You may decide to instruct me. We're going to use an escalation clause, or you may decide to keep your inspection time frame, but buy as is and not ask for any remedies. This is a case-by-case basis, so you get to decide. But here are some of the things we can do to make your offer a little bit more attractive to the seller. So if they know those things ahead of time, it makes, just everything working forward. And I just don't think that AI will ever get there to be able to do that.
Well, it's once again, I mean, you're talking about empowering your client, and an educated client, an empowered client is going to be a client that's much easier to work with, and you're going to have a much higher success rate of
Right.
walking away with them feeling like it was a successful outcome.
Right.
I've believed and still believe that there is going to be a division in real estate among the skilled realtors and the unskilled realtors. We're dealing with that right now. There's been a lot of influx of untrained, unsupervised agents in the business.
Yes.
And on the surface, it would appear that AI is going to allow them to kind of exist in real estate longer. But I think that the consumer is really going to dictate who they gravitate towards. And I think it's going to be all about trust
Yes.
in the future. And so how do you use a tool like AI to leverage to allow you to have even deeper, more meaningful human connections with our clients? I think that's what we're going to be seeing. And it sounds like you're perfectly positioned to navigate all of this.
Well, I actually am looking forward to the next decade. I think that, like every change, we can either deplore it and resist it, or we can find ways to use it to our client's advantage and our advantage. I mean, I use the AI tool to write descriptions. I have used it to make fun pictures, or to do a fun little meme. So there's ways to use it to, continue engagement or to glean engagement, from people. But for the most part, when I think of AI, I think of when I make a customer service call, like if I'm calling for help with something that I cannot figure out, and I get literally 12 prompts. Push here. Maybe at the end, if you don't annoy me, I'll let you talk to a human. That approach, nobody wants that with buying a house.
No.
And so when I have a problem, I just want to talk to a human. And I think that is true of a lot of people.
Sure. They
And-
want to know
and
that
that's where
somebody's
we
on
come
their
in.
side and that
Yes.
somebody's going to be their guide and their
Yes. And
their
sometimes,
facilitator.
you just even need someone to bounce it off of and say, well, what do you think? And I don't think that that's going away. So I think it's exciting to be in this era that we are now. I think that it's an incredible tool for us to embrace. Or, you can choose not to, but that's not a way to get better.
Yes. Well, and it's certainly
So-
not somebody that's on purpose.
Exactly.
Ignoring a trend that's here to stay. It's just like anything else. How are you going to use it as a tool as opposed to ignore it
Right.
and be fearful of it?
Right. Well, and anything that we use in our business is a tool.
Yes.
So
Well, I appreciate your time today. We're right up on it, and this wasn't very painful, was it? Did you have a good time?
I did not realize it was already 9:49.
You see, I'm just a natural. I'll put your mind at ease.
Yes, you are.
I really appreciate you
pro.
being on and being my guest today,
This
and
was fun. I
and
was
talking
happy to do
through
it. Yeah.
all of the ways that we can bring the human connection in a world of AI. So
Yes, thank you for having me.
absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on our third podcast. To stay tuned. We have a little bit of a change of format coming up in April. Exciting to continue to see this grow and evolve. And as of course, if you have any questions or any ways that you feel like we could continue to improve, don't hesitate to give me that feedback. Really appreciate everybody tuning in this morning. Thanks, everybody. Bye.